Like, I just think it was negligent, very negligent.
Yeah, so my personal experience has been I've had to stop shows. I've broken contracts to stop shows because people got hurt. Nobody died, but it was always very clear, at the shows we did that, as soon as you saw somebody fall down, people were there to help pick them up. And that was the rule, and there is and I think there's a couple different things going on here. There's a big fanfare for Travis Scott. Everywhere the guy goes, it's fucking insane. It reminds me of kind of like how Michael Jackson or something was back in the day. Like, people flood this guy no matter where he goes. I watched him do this thing at a gas station where he was doing a promo for his drink Cacti, right? And people just flooded him. They were all over this guy. So he's got this really intense fanfare. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is okay, so hip hop shows, I can tell you from both being in hip hop shows and actually fucking helping to run hip hop shows, they run way different than a metal show does, right? Metal shows, they know that there's going to be a possibility for people to get hurt because of what's going on. They know that they have to have really well-trained security that know how to deal with situations in mosh pits and stuff like that, right? And so the way they treat the shows in terms of security is a lot different than they do in hip hop and dance shows, even EDM shows, everything, So what my suggestion would be is I do think there's going to be some culpability for Travis Scott because he is listed as one of the organizers of the show, which means that makes him responsible for, the security and the logistics and stuff. So unfortunately, he's going to have some kind of civil liability. I think the moral liability really comes in is if he did see people falling down, which I know there was one incident where he saw people go down and he did stop for a second and let them get out of that. My bigger concern is about this mass casualty event that was reported to Live Nation, and then Live Nation letting the show continue 37 minutes after. Now, we can't say whether or not he knew that, but unfortunately, because he contracted with Live Nation and he is an organizer, he's going to be somewhat responsible for that. Outside of that, I think that when you see a crowd crush like that, I know from the stage, it is very visible, especially the front of the stage, where a lot of this is happening. You can see that. You're very, very aware of that. I mean, I know I always was. I was very cognizant of that because we would have a lot of people that were of smaller stature and stuff like that. They'd be at our shows and they'd end up in the front and, just want to bob their heads and dance. And they'd end up getting pulled back into mosh pits, even women and stuff. And you'd have to stop and say, hey, cool that shit out, and you have to have that control. Now, again, it's a lot different when you're dealing with, I think he had 50,000 people or something at that show. I can't remember. It was something crazy like that. There was a crazy number. So that ability to control even from the stage, it wanes a little bit, but you definitely know what's going on at the front of the stage. You definitely know. And you're in contact with your security usually. You usually will have an earpiece in, and there are backline producers that are talking to you. There's usually a production or a sound production place out actually past the crowd. And those people are usually in an earpiece and, are talking either to each other and relaying that to the artist. Or, the artist has direct connect to both of them. So they do have a way to communicate. There's a lot of hand signals and stuff they use as well, that you'll work out with security, before you even go on and do the show. So there is some of that happens. There's some coordination there, at least. And I can say, moreover, from the metal side, that there's a lot of that happens just because of the wall of death and the big circle pits and stuff like that. You have to know how to mitigate people getting hurt, and that's why you haven't heard about mass casualty events at these metal concerts. Not saying that there hasn't been somebody that died or hasn't been people that have been injured, but they've managed to avoid the worst of it just through the way that they manage security and the support staff. It's not even just security, it's also the medical staff. It's the other people like that are involved, that are helping to pull people out and make sure that they get treated the way that they need to be treated. It sounds like they were missing a little bit of those components. And I think the easiest way to fix the situation is start treating these bigger shows, these bigger hip hop shows, just like you would a metal show. you'll mitigate a lot of the risk. And you know, people like Travis Scott, who probably in earnest was just trying to put on a good show for people and, you know, oblige his contract. I don't think the guy had any ill intent, you know, and I don't think he was trying to be necessarily reckless. I think there was probably a lot of miscommunication. I think there was a breakdown in security, and that's where it all comes from, you know.
Yeah, I would say that like that is solid advice, treat it like a metal show, etc. I like about like his liability because he's an organizer. Like his lawyer came out and said that only the festival director and the executive producers had the authority to like stop the show, and they said that Travis Scott or no one in his crew had those roles, so that could help him with liability in a sense that that could be part of like Live Nation or other people that were involved at the event who had the venue. And other than that, I'd say that like it's a unique situation because Travis Scott is from Houston, so like that is his home. He's probably performed there more than anywhere else, I'd imagine. Since and then beyond that, like he is like he's a very famous, he's extremely famous like hip hop artist at this point in time. So like people would be aware of him. They would know him. They would know the fact that this guy is having an event in the city is a big thing. There is something that to look into. So we'd have to ask about that. Like, if you're saying there's a culture at like metal shows, like you're describing, and so they've accommodated for that, and security accommodates for that. You'd have to ask yourself, like, why wouldn't they accommodate for like Travis Scott? If everybody has all this information, they know about Travis Scott, the environment he brings to his events, and beyond that, they also know that like this guy is from this city. They've had so many experiences with him before. People are gonna get even more wild because it's a rapper who's performing or an artist performing in his own city. Um, where's the preparation?
Yeah, like that's what I would ask because like you were making a lot of points, and I agreed with all of them. But like the one question that came up to me, like like from what I read and like how it was set up, and that's why I keep like harkening back to the setup. It just seemed like they weren't prepared. I mean, like they had like security trying to do like EMT jobs and carry people away. That doesn't sound like something you prepared for. And then like I look at other Travis Scott concerts, and like they may be rowdy, there may be some moshing, but like it doesn't happen. So like I'm wondering like what went into that. Like like if anything, if I'm being charitable, let's say like maybe he prepared for like what he normally receives, and since this is his hometown, maybe it was just like a little bit more. But like that, those are the questions I would ask.
Wasn't the venue known to be so relatively unsafe in comparison to other venues too? Weren't there problems with this specific venue?
Yeah, like when I was reading the one of the articles, one of the specific problems that like led to like a lot of people getting trampled is like that over section where like they hopped over and like that right in front of the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the security supports in the gates were really fucking sturdy, which like sounds like a good idea until you get that situation and motherfuckers are being trampled and panicking, and then they can't get out, they
Mm-hmm.
can't move. And that's exactly the type of stuff people were reporting out. Like it felt like you were trapped, and like that's why I kept saying it, it felt like you were trapped in a closet and then the door had been shut. And like when you're in a situation like that, I can see exactly where like something that the artist himself is used to, something that like everyone's used to, and that like you prepare for that can quickly turn into something that's just like, wow, what the actual fuck. And like if what Amanda's saying is true, and like this venue is just like historically unsafe, then yeah, I would look at the venue like you guys knew this shit was unsafe, like, and you did nothing to like maybe even fix the problem after all of these years. Like,
Yeah, and especially knowing the fans of Travis Scott, you would think that they would put in more security and have more like paramedics and things like that in order to avoid something like this. It just feels really negligent all around. I still think Travis was negligent. I think he should have stopped the concert. I feel like at that moment, I don't think he knew that people were dying, but it just seemed like he cared more about the concert than his fans.
What about the incidents where the people rushed in beforehand, before the this particular concert moment started? That the moment people rushed in, and the gates were knocked down.
Hey, see you, man. How you doing?
Responsibility for that?
That's got to be the venue, right? Security in the venue. And if you rush and the gates are supposed to be what you're responsible for. Like the artist may not even be there at that point in time. You know, the artist is ready to preparing to perform. He's probably preparing the audio, getting ready to perform. If that's the security's job.
Well, and typically security is handled by the organizers, though. That's the thing. Like the venue has usually will have very slim security, and then the organizers will bring in their own security. Usually, you're talking about like a lot of off-duty police officers or correctional people.
Like the question would still stand though. Like even like it seems like he did bring in some security. Like there were police officers there and stuff. Why didn't they do their job? Like this is a crowd after all. Like they're here to see one person, and given the chance, like we know how crowds and mobs are. Why weren't these precautions met? Like what? Like I was looking at some of the videos while like you and Wiggle were going back and forth, and like the ones where the barricades are broken down. Like it was really flimsy to be honest. Like yeah, and then like the spacing of like the not the troops or but like the officers and shit like that. Like I can understand how they had breaches in their fucking line because there were massive fucking holes in their line. Like what the fuck? And then like then it's like the security weren't doing their job right or like the right way or they weren't doing it at all. I don't know specifically, but like they weren't doing it right. And then like that match was lit and it exploded. The fans obviously are like kind of shitbags for not having the respect to like just wait in line, but like when it comes to like the organization and shit, like and talking about Travis Scott, this is shit that yeah is expected.
I feel like, and this might just be because I'm an organizer myself, like I still want to make sure that everything's checked off. Like, I don't care if I've had to give a job to somebody else. I'm going to make sure that that job was done. And I think that's something that performers should do if they're not doing it now. Take more of an active role in this. But then again, that would probably give, establish more liability. So maybe they don't do that on purpose.
Yeah, to Wiggles' response earlier, I think it's not gonna. They're not gonna find Travis Scott civilly responsible for not stopping the concert. I don't think that's where the civil responsibility is. I think it's going to be in relation to how the security and the support infrastructure was built. They're going to say that because he's tied to it, because he's one of the organizers. He was negligent in that, and I think that's where the problem is. I don't think that he's going to have a problem with the not stopping the concert part.
With that, even with that, then if he was in a position in that contract where like their plan was that he's not someone who's able to stop it, etc., how much blame will he be able to take? Because there are people who are above him that would have to shoulder most of that blame.
Oh, sure. No, I think you're going to get, it'll be some kind of sliding scale percentage of some kind, but he'll bear some responsibility. There's no question like that. He'll bear some. I don't think it's going to be as bad as what Live Nation is going to be hit with, because Live Nation has had other incidents that were pretty bad too. Not to this degree, but they've definitely shown their negligence, and having worked with them, they can be kind of a shit show, to be honest with you. So I definitely see that they're going to face some liability in it, and the venue, I'm not sure. I think it's probably going to fall mostly straight on Live Nation. I think they're going to get the brunt of it.
Yeah, because I think I was reading somewhere where they are even saying that the Astro World venue can like legitimately hold up to like 200,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just one of those things with how it was set up. It was literally the shape of the stage, the way everything was like just.
I love it.
Well, yeah, it's just like because it was like how they had the shape was it was like the long hallway with the stage in the back, and then they had where like the cameras were set up was a box in the back. So it's like nobody wanted to be in front of the box where the cameras and stuff and like the audio equipment was. So they all kind of like surged around it to try to get as close to the stage as possible. So it's like having that set up, it was like that was another factor that they said could have caused so much crowd crush.
Done TV, and then Amanda.
So I really wish I'd done more research before coming on. I did read the article you sent, Prime, but I didn't do much research beyond that, to be honest with you. And now that I've done the research, I found that there are multiple videos of Travis stopping the concert or pausing the concert when he notices someone was in distress, or when he noticed the ambulance came, he notices someone was unconscious, and directing security to that unconscious person, telling people to back off, and yada yada, right? There are, uh, and he's saying his people are saying that he had no idea anybody was seriously injured until afterwards, right? Until after the show was done. That's when they found out that people were seriously injured. He's aware that some people were unconscious, some people, you know, uh, got like minor injuries and shit that they had, where they had to be pulled out by an ambulance. You can even see in the video where he notices the ambulance coming to the crowd. He stops, and he looks confused as fuck, looking around. And he says, "What the fuck is that?" Right? Because he had no fucking idea how serious the situation was. Seeing these videos, I'm even more convinced that this man did nothing wrong, and I don't know why you white people are trying to blame him for this. To be honest with you, it's really
I
fucked.
mean, like, it feels like he was just like unprepared for like how the venue was set up. Sounds like did the preparations he would do for a normal fucking concert, and then like some of the normal matches that are fucking lit at his concerts got lit because of the fucking venue, and like you could say his organizational skills when it comes to security and shit, but then like that's liability on like the people in charge of that who weren't him. Then it's like, yeah, no, like I can't see where it's like Travis Scott bad.
Yeah, I also so I was reading that he reimbursed all of the ticket sales that he has offered to pay for the funerals of the people that had passed away, but he's also offered to pay for counseling services. And I don't know if that extends to his entire concert or just the people that were
Right.
hurt. But I want to know what you guys think would be like what type of accountability you would like.
Can I say something real quick? Because like I keep noticing this coming up in chat that he went to an after party. He went to an after party. Yeah, like he went to an after party, with all of the people involved, and like we don't know what went on in that after party. We don't know if like they were actually like partying, like if Travis Scott himself was like actually partying, or what they were doing immediately after. Like his people, like they're obviously gonna be biased in this, are saying that like yeah, they did it to fucking regroup and figure out what exactly was going on after they stopped the show 40 minutes later, because yeah, the live leak, not the live leak, but the live world shit was already airing and like it was already live. So like yeah, it sounds like they stopped, went back into their after party to like try and figure out this shit. Cause like yeah, if you're having people die, like I can understand
I'm
why we
sorry, I'm
would
gonna call
want this.
bullshit. Nope, I'm
What's
gonna
up?
call bullshit. Like with they could like they definitely did not have to go to an after party. They could have just went somewhere and had
But
these
it's
meetings.
Drake. No, fuck you.
Oh god.
You don't want to leave Drake on standby.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm just thinking back to an event that I had organized, a dodgeball tournament, Friendship 2020, with all the campaign staffers, and it happened on the day that El Paso shooting happened. And so we canceled the entire thing, and like, yeah, like I would have looked. I not going. I don't like that they went to
Listen,
an
like
after party.
I'm not gonna like I understand like you're an organizer, but like in that situation, I can look at Travis Scott and being like, listen, they already had this place that had security and shit like anyway, that they were planning to do this after party and shit. Like, yeah, why not just go there and like have a little regrouping to like look at your apps and your phones and shit. I can definitely fucking see that versus like he should have been out in the crowds like trying to help people. Like, bro, he's Travis fucking Scott. The remaining fans probably wouldn't have given a fuck about the hurt ones and then swarmed again.
No, and that would have been the fatal mistake, is him getting into the crowd. It would have made it so much fucking worse. Like he did do the right thing by staying up on stage and not trying to get in the middle of shit. Yeah, that would have been utter fucking catastrophe.
Yeah, and I think that given that we're talking about like 9 people in a crowd of like 50,000, right? And I don't think that there's any responsibility for him to like find out how injured those injured people were, with the ones that he noticed.
There was probably
and-
more injured. Those are the
Yeah, there's
best.
probably saying that he can't go to an after party, right? Like, I actually think it's kind of weird that you stopped your after party for something that happened states away that you had nothing to do with and have no ability to contribute to. That's kind of weird that you would stop an after party because of something like that. So yeah, he had this massive fucking concert. Let him fucking celebrate. Like, and I'm sure he didn't get to because he probably found out that this happened and these people died at the after party, and then oh shit, his event's ruined, right?
I mean, like, also, like, what
So-
else
just
is he?
don't-
What else is
well,
he
I think
supposed
that, like-
to do? Like, run around,
Yeah, what's he-
panicking, like,
exactly, like, what's he
stay in
supposed
one
to do?
place and like let the information come to you as that figure. Like, yo, are these people okay? Keep me updated. Keep me updated. Keep the information flowing. You don't like go around with your chicken head cut off and like, are you people okay? Like, I gotta go to the hospital and check on them. You're gonna cause a commotion at the hospital. Even more people are gonna die because it's a hospital. Like,
It's about like solidarity and respect. So like the reason we stopped is because so like I said, it was a campaign staffer thing. Beto O'Rourke had like 50 staffers at this event. Some of them were from El Paso, and so when they were pulling out, we were like, okay, in solidarity, we're going to stop the entire concert, or not concert, sorry, the tournament. But no one's really answered my question in regards to what type of accountability you want to see. I can see Doobie doesn't want anything.
Yeah, I don't think he has any. I don't think he has any responsibility for what happened.
like legal
Just based on everything else.
No,
accountability.
I think people bring up a good point, which isn't as relevant now. I mean, people say, you know, like he creates a culture of like doing this. That's 100% true, but then you'd have to ask yourself, like, if he creates a culture of doing this, why weren't they prepared? If they knew, you're just giving you're saying that like people knew this was the case. Everybody knew that this guy does this at his concerts. So then when you give him a venue with this many people, and then you're not prepared in his own home, like the place that knows him best. But at this point anyway, like that culture, you know, is led to these people coming into this venue, trampling over each other, etc., to listen to this guy's music, to just see this guy, and there's 9 deaths. So at that point in time, I'd imagine like the changes you'd want to see is something, and so that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, like for me, I said at the beginning, he should feel bad, but like legally, like I don't really see how this is gonna be pinned on him. Like I'm open to be surprised, but like he should feel bad because of exactly what Wiggle just said. Like his concerts are like this. Like, you know, people don't die, but like they get pretty fucking rowdy. For like what type of repercussions I'd like to see, like I'd like to see him make changes, like maybe boost in security, maybe like get on the fucking role of telling his audience to calm down and shit. Maybe he can make some changes to the way he performs so that like his concerts are safer, because unfortunately this is America and not everyone's gonna have the safest venue places.
But I thought this whole thing was a satanic sacrifice, anyways.
Oh yeah, no, but like, you gotta ignore that, right? You can't say that part out loud.
Am I not mistaken with him? He was actually like tweeting out telling people to like jump the walls and like break into the concert.
There was one tweet, and I think it could be interpreted kind of either way. Like, oh, this is what's happening, as opposed to like encouraging it.
What was the
But-
tweet?
Oh,
Let me
yeah,
find
yeah,
it
go
because
look
I
it up.
believe he deleted it. I believe he
Oh,
deleted
then
it.
I know the
because-
tweet you're talking about then, because there's this tweet that's going around that's like showcasing that. But that tweet is literally from May. So it's a tweet that's from May that happens to be on the day in which a bunch of news sources are showing that he sold out really quickly. So it's likely that, you know, after selling out extremely fast in his hometown,
No,
he's
no, it's
saying
a
that
different
more than-
tweet. It was like we're wildin' or something, letting the wild ones in or something
that's the
like
exact
that.
same. That's the exact same tweet.
Oh,
So
really?
like, so it's like in that tweet, it's like that's the day in which like the concert sold out really quickly. So it's likely that when he is saying this, he's just saying like this is a crazy ass concert. We're gonna get more people than that in. But like to say that that is like you know, indicative of him having a strategy of letting people in and like allowing more and more people to get in. He wasn't even there. Like he wasn't there, like right there, like letting people through the gates. You know, there's still security, etc. And even then, if he made this tweet in like May, and what is it like? It's November. So like, if we found that tweet and we're not even like, I'm not even from Texas or anything. Like, why wouldn't the venue be prepared?
I'm confused why, like, if that's when the tweet's from, like every single article I've read has not mentioned that. They make it seem like it sounds like it was like
It's on the tweet.
while he was performing.
Tweets have dates on them.
Well, like,
Yeah, like-
not all of the articles I've read that's
No.
from the
This
tweet.
is
Literally
this is
quoted.
why
This
this
is
is why
why
this
I
is
was
I
telling
was
you.
going in. No, I was going
You're
into
not
this
you're
before.
You are
Like the
not-
media
you're-
is pinning
You're an
this.
ally, and just remember, they wouldn't do this if it was Alec Baldwin. They would show
Like
the date.
no, but
They
like
would
this
show
is
the
no,
date.
this is what I was talking about. Like right, like I'm not saying like they're outright saying like Travis Scott evil, but like some shit like this where it's like, yo, it's a tweet, the date's right there, dude. Like, going forward, that's like, I wonder why. I can 100% believe that a lot of these media organizations are run by fucking dumb fucks. Yes, let's just get that out of the way. But like the rest of them,
So
the websites that cover social media and shit, I'm just like,
I mean,
why?
it's not uncommon for people, for news organizations.
Hey, hold on though.
To further to drag out a story, make it more juicy. Like happens all the time.
Thank you. Like,
Victoria, then Jason.
So I was so there's two things that I want to address. One about like him going to the after party. I know that was kind of in the past, but there was one incident. Well, the one thing that I was kind of comparing it to was like the Who incident in '79. Yeah, they didn't let the Who know that any of that shit happened until after everything anyway. So it's like you have before even the like they did the concert, they did the full concert, not knowing that like 7 people had passed trying to get into the concert. So that I can kind of like understand. But as for accountability, I'm reading an article that's saying that he pled guilty 2 prior times to inciting violence at his concerts.
so
this
should plead
like
guilty for this one.
And I think those charges are complete bullshit anyways. There's so many times that like artists have done things like this and he's the one that gets charged.
well,
I'm
he
just
pled
Yeah, like how many
guilty
times
to-
like members
he
do
pled
like
guilty in the
mosh
he
pits
pled
and walls
he
of
pled
death and shit.
guilty in the past, so we should look at that and be like, he should plead guilty for this one. Like, I can say that, but then like I can look some of the shit up, like look at the venue and shit and see how unsafe it was, and I'm just like, no, like he shouldn't plead guilty for shit that like he can at least fight. Like when I hear someone pleading guilty, like either they're just trying to
That's
get
what
out
they
of it
wanted
and
to do to Meek
settle,
Mill,
or
remember.
like they either want you to settle, so like yeah, I'm gonna just plead guilty, or like I fucking did it, so like there's no way I'm getting out of this. The easiest way for me to get out of this with like jail time and shit is to plead guilty, or else I'm getting like that super.
That's what they
I
did.
mean-
That's what they're trying to do to Meek
Like-
Mill.
So to answer Amanda Smash's question, which was that, what kind of accountability should he be held to? Well, I think, like I said, I think as part of the organizer of the event, he's going to be held to some accountability monetarily anyways. To some degree, it may be small, but he'll be held accountable. I think the other thing that he can do is just, look to going forward to finding better ways to model his security and his infrastructure for these shows. And, I think that's really what he can do to be held accountable. And I think that it's going to be, and here's the thing, if he does right by his fans, like it sounds like he's trying to do, his fans are going to determine what happens with him, right? Because if they feel like he's abandoned them, then they're going to abandon him, And I think that's, how basically the accountability is going to happen. I think that his fan base will hold him accountable, and that'll happen in slumping record sales and people going to shows. Now, if he corrects course and because like I said, it sounds like I don't think it's his fault. I think people are just really into the guy. They just really, really, really like the guy, And so wherever he goes, it's like people go crazy about the shit. So I think that knowing now how bad it can get, I can see him saying, okay, we need to kind of reinvestigate how we handle, my public appearances, how we handle my shows. And I think that's where the accountability lies. Just make it right. Like, learn from your mistake. It sounds like he's trying to do right by those families. It sounds like he's trying to do right by the people that died, and even the ones that were injured and didn't die. And I think that's the first part. He's doing that without having to have the court intervention, So I think that's where the accountability lies, and that's what he can do.
That's
I think-
interesting. It's really, you're gonna like this, okay? Because I started out against the race thing, but now the more I see, like, look, in August of this year, a 60-something-year-old man died at a mosh pit at a Slipknot concert. Slipknot is a band of whites, right? Who do you think got sued? Was it the band who was encouraging people to do this mosh pit and didn't stop when they saw this man get knocked over and fucking die? No, they didn't stop the show there either. Live Nation got sued. Why is it that Travis Scott is getting sued by these people? Why didn't Slipknot get sued? Yeah,
because he's an organizer. If Slipknot is an organizer, then they would be held liable too.
Wait, hold on. Why are there fucking news articles about Slipknot getting the 60-something-year-old man murdered at a mosh pit, right? Which is something that they encourage at their shows. Why wasn't that a big deal? It was in fucking August when this
Difference
happened.
between one person dying. I mean, like this is gonna sound awful, but people like one person dying at festivals and things like that due to like drugs.
Say that to the family.
It wasn't drugs. It was a mosh pit.
It was a mosh pit. It was a 67-year-old man in a mosh pit. Like he didn't like overdose. He overdosed on like
and someone
fucking
and he
I'm
died.
saying that like one person dying at a concert is relatively normal. Not I don't want to say relatively normal, but like
Maybe
at
a
festivals and
Slipknot
things.
concert.
But like
I feel like
nine
is that
people
normal
is
at
very
Travis
different,
Scott
and it
concert?
wasn't just 9 people that like passed away. There's nobody even has an actual number of how many people are hurt and injured and in
Yeah,
critical.
who the
condition.
fuck knows how many people were injured in mosh pits? Like, and fucking
Bro,
balls of
like,
death.
you
Who
been
knows
in a
how many
mosh
people walk
pit,
home with
bro?
black
Like,
eyes and shit? Like,
yeah, people like might break bones in mosh pits and shit. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of. Like,
But
like
that's why there's a
scrapes
different
and
security.
broken noses.
But that's why there's a different
I think
security
common-
infrastructure
common
around it. That's
problem
why
here
there's more
is-
medical staff. That's why there's more EMTs because they're aware of that. That's what I'm saying. They account for that. That
for this
you know.
7-year-old man.
Yeah,
He
hold
was
on.
I mean, but, like,
The common
okay,
problem here
so-
is Travis Scott fans, and maybe this was Darwin's way of having his.
100%. I'm like,
But that's the
first
thing
and
is
foremost.
that.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I've spoken more than you.
Well, I was just gonna say, but that's why you have security that is on point. Like, I went to a Korn concert like 3 months ago, and there was a mosh pit, and as soon as somebody got hurt, security was like right in there, getting the hurt person out, getting the person who would actually hurt the other person out. Like, they were on it so fast,
Oh,
we
like-
didn't even realize it was happening until we saw the person getting taken
Oh,
away.
like, well, when you bring this up, I'll just go back to the fact that, like, because we talked about
Always
this
felt
earlier, their security apparently just wasn't organized. That way. They
Right.
like when the barricades were broken down, they apparently could not even hold that little bit of line. Like they were having the police officers do that shit when they're supposed to be paramedics and shit. So like
Right.
we could say that like Travis Scott is responsible, but then I'm like, yo, if I hire someone to do a job and I'm like, here's your money, you go do your job, and then they don't, like.
Well, it's not to say that Travis Scott couldn't turn around and sue Live Nation too. You know,
I mean, yeah,
Right.
he could turn around and be like, "Fuck you, Live Nation."
You didn't hire enough security for this.
Yeah, with the legal shit in play, like Travis Scott doesn't seem responsible for that. That seems like it seems to be a Live Nation issue. So it's like, if we're holding people responsible for like the security not doing their job and what, like, did he specifically choose the security? Then I just say like, yo, he made a bad choice, but them niggas did a bad job, and they should be held responsible for not doing their job. Or did Live Nation do it? In which like, you have a history of this type of shit, so. Yeah, legal repercussions, broski.
Yeah, and I want to point out that actually Slipknot did stop the show for that guy and did allow medics to come in. They did make sure, and the dude was pretty fervent about stopping everybody when that shit went down. So like, yeah, I like.
Wait, did they stop the show or did they pause the show to get him out? Because that's exactly what Travis Scott did when he noticed people that were injured.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you should do. I mean, nobody's saying stop the show completely unless it's like in Travis Scott's situation as a mass casualty event. There were several people that were injured and several people that died. You're talking about one person here, and they absolutely did stop the show to allow for the medics to get in there to pull the gentleman out. And I would hope that Travis Scott did that for each and every one of those, but I can understand how he could not see everybody that was being hurt or injured. That's why he couldn't necessarily do that for each and every one, right? That's fair.
Actually pause the show. Like, for how long though? Was it like, hey, get help here, blah
It
blah?
was like
wait,
40
like,
seconds, and then he
Yeah.
stopped.
Yeah, it
There's
was.
like multiple
It
videos
was-
where he pauses the show for different reasons. Yeah.
for like 40
But-
seconds.
But not
No,
like
that was one of the
actual
instances, but-
pauses being like, "Hey guys, chill out. Let's get paramedics through." That was it. He's just like, "Oh hey, let's get paramedics through. Hey, somebody's hurt over there." and then he looks, and then okay, and then he continues his set. Like there wasn't like 40 seconds is generous for how long he was pausing those pauses.
I would say like one thing is like first and foremost like Travis Scott's a piece of shit. Like he's a horrible person. He's like I don't like the idea that he's like some nice guy.
No, he is not.
Some of these like artists
He's a dick.
that go to like that stop and then they say like, well, like I want to make sure everyone's okay, everything, and they do all this stuff. Like they sound like really nice people, and like they sound like they're doing like they have a lot of personal responsibility. They're really nice. I don't think Travis Scott's a good guy. I think he's a shitty human being. But it's the idea that people want to hold him specifically accountable here because I largely believe there's a racial element, and they want to say Travis Scott is the one who has to take the brunt of all of this. And it's like, well, look at how shitty he is. He's demonic. There's people who are saying that he had a satanic ritual. There's people that are saying like the most egregious shit about him. And it's like, you gotta ask yourselves, would they be saying that shit if he was, I don't know, like Ed Sheeran?
Hey, now hold on. They say Slipknot's satanic too. Granted, Slipknot may be satanic, but they say Slipknot's satanic too.
They say Slipknot's satanic because like they're a fucking metal band. Like metal band.
So just because you're a metal band, you're satanic? You never heard of a Christian metal band?
Yes.
Striper? Christian metal band.
They're not metal.
Okay, I gotta put this wiggle even on this panel. Right?
Just kidding.
The three people who are defending the good name of Travis Scott are people of color, all right? And the ones that are saying that he's liable and that he's evil.
Amanda is kind of defending it. Jason kind of defended Victoria.
Jason
you come to the right side.
Victoria came in and was like, yo, he killed me.
He murdered people.
I just gotta say, maybe there's something to what Wiggle's saying, okay?
I'm saying, like you come to the table with like, he's responsible a bit, not like he murdered them. It was him. And then the other part is like the idea that Travis
he out there and curb stomped them.
Even if Travis Scott, it wasn't his job, he should have done something because he saw something, and because he saw something, he should have been the one to step up morally. It's like, but you got Houston PD right there,
you gotta
who are
think
like
about
holding and taking care of the scenario, and then he's looking at them. He's like, all right, maybe they got it, and then nobody goes like, Houston PD, they should have got on the stage and ended it.
No, Wiggle.
They should have said it's over. The concert's over. There's dead people, but it's Travis Scott.
Listen. You need to correct yourself. I'm the one here saying like these police officers didn't do their job. Like you just said that, and I'm like, yeah, I could 100% be like Travis Scott and look down and see the shit and be like, oh, the police that like my organizers sent in, like Houston PD, right? They got this. And then finding out that no, they don't have this at all. I would be surprised that they did not have this.
I mean, to tell you the truth, as the artist, I would be fucking pissed. Like I would be furious with the other organizers. I would be losing my shit on people. Like no question.
I just gotta say this for the audience because I know they're gonna start on this time. We're not saying like he's some moral angel. No, he's a piece of shit.
Right now I am.
But like,
personally,
right now,
no.
Do we? No.
Yeah, I don't think he did anything wrong in this situation.
So, look, Jason, do you mind if I ask you, as somebody like you're a performer and stuff like that, and you've even openly admitted you've stopped shows, you've taken the hit like through your contract and stuff like that. Like, since you have a little more insight about what it's like to do this kind of job, like, is it like, are you the person like, or would you be the person who kind of like agrees to like what set standards there are, what kind of security there is, how many people, like what kind of like, or like how many medical personnel you have, how many security personnel you have, or do you just kind of like wind up in the situation and you're just like, I'm kind of okay, I'm here to perform?
So often there's
a huge
as
difference on
as an artist, you don't get a whole lot of say in that unless you're like organizing the event. Now, I have been a part of organizing my own shows where I actually put the show on myself, where we went through and did hire local security, you know, where we dictated what bands are coming on, who's producing the show for us, you know, all those things. And in those instances, yeah, I did have, you know, the ability to have some say in the logistics. Overall, I relied on the promotions company I was working with to do the right thing, and they just kind of checked in with me. I mean, I'm still an artist, you know, but I have things that I want to see in the show. I may not necessarily be like intertwined into every little piece of the logistics, which is why you're really hoping that the production crew that you're working with and the security crew that you're working with is, you know, on the level,
doing their job.
Exactly. And that's why I was saying before, Live Nation has a pattern of this. Even from back when I was doing shows, they've traditionally been very bad about it. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't do shows with Live Nation after the first couple events that I did with them, just simply because of weird logistical issues. And it's not just, you know, in my case, luckily nobody died or anything like that, but we did have people get hurt at the first Live Nation show I did. And then the second one, it was a money situation. But
So, Jason, if you don't mind me asking, like, how big were these shows that you were playing?
a few thousand people.
Okay, so even in a show like that, you're relying on the security people and the organizers to cash these things, right? So can you imagine 50,000 people or more, right? This massive fucking crowd. And I've watched the videos of people like chanting, you know, stop the show. They do it for like 10 seconds while he's performing. How the fuck is he supposed to hear that? They're like 500 feet away from the dude.
Sure.
I don't know. I feel like
that's why I don't hold him so morally responsible. I mean, he maybe could have done better to stop the show, you know, or like elongated the periods that he stopped, you know, paused it or whatever. But that's why I'm not big on, like, I'm not jumping straight down his throat. To me, it's more like just the organizers and stuff like that. And yeah, like he could be civilly liable, but like I say, that's on paper. It's just on paper. It's not like, I don't think personally he was in there dictating what happened with all the security and all this shit. And, you know, he is personally the one responsible, but because he put his name on the fucking piece of paper, courts and the plaintiffs are going to go after him for it and probably win a little bit from it.
I mean, like, the plaintiffs are definitely going to go after him. Like, they already are. And, like, obvious why. It's a Travis Scott concert. I got hurt. I'm going to sue Travis Scott. But, like, then we get into, like, the whole legal arguments. It's like, I don't know if those are actually going to hold. Like, because of, like, how the contracts seem to be based on, like, the articles and shit. Like,
yeah, I
don't
mean,
know how much those are going to hold legally. And then when it comes to, like, the moral aspect, fucking hate the guy, like, personally, like, as a human, like, he just does not seem like a good person, but, like, he seems to be doing, like, his best to, like, make the fucking sure, like, this doesn't happen again. Like, since it's his hometown, like, I think he's taking this a bit more personally than if it was, like, you know, Rochester.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'd imagine, like, after that kind of publicity and stuff, like, negative publicity and stuff, like, it's kind of like, he has to kind of do something to change because, you know, he wants to get booked at venues in future. He wants to have more concerts. He wants more people to go to his concerts. I think liability, once again, like, you know, Travis Scott, like, I think morally, that's the one thing you can really come after him for, is because even if everybody does this and gets away with it or something, you could still make the moral, like, judgment on him of, like, if he sees somebody that's hurt or something, like, he did at some point choose to take a certain action or what have you, and morally he could feel some type of way. But that's a good thing that we don't live in, like, a society that's based off of one person's moral judgment or what have you, or else, you know, we'd have a really wacky world that we would live in here in America. And other than that, I would say, like, Travis Scott, honestly, it just made me realize how many people just hate him. I
Yeah,
thought, like, you know,
like,
from my perspective, I'm like, you know, like, I listen to Travis Scott's music. I like some of his music. I really don't think he's a good person. I've been to some of his concerts. I've been to maybe 2-3 concerts of his. 2 concerts of his. One that is like that he was at. I've gone to other concerts. They were better. He's not like the most amazing performer or something. And you know, this is like, damn, the backlash that this guy got here. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, like, I'm not, like, this isn't in reference to you, Victoria, but, like, there are, like, articles and people like, he killed these people, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you were being hyperbolic, lighthearted, we're joking on the panel, but, like, there are people who are on it like, he killed these people, he's evil, look at his past, look at it, and I'm just like, bro, what the actual fuck? If you want to say he has some bad fans and he cultivates a net, Sure, his fans are rowdy. I've been to his concerts. They're fucking assholes, just like he is. You can blame him for that. But like that whole like he killed it. Like, nah.
Yeah, I'll be
have-
straight up with you. I have like Travis Scott collabo Nikes and shit. I actually really like some of the like clothes, and I like some of his music and shit. Like,
His music's good. I'm not
you
gonna
know,
lie.
I
Like,
don't know why people are saying it's trash.
Shit music.
That's to me is like indicative of like, all right, I see where the judgments. I see how some of the judgments coming
Exactly. The problem is Travis Scott fans. That's the issue.
Do you guys
Yeah, I'm
think
actually.
hey, I'm a Travis Scott fan. What are you saying, Doobie?
why didn't you stop the concert?
Okay, this actually makes my case. Okay, look at Jason, Travis Scott fan. You know what you're dealing with, okay?
No,
How much
dude,
did he
Jason,
pay?
nah, dude,
Travis Scott
Jason,
paid you?
Jason's
You
good
came in
up
here
until,
midway.
Jason's good up until he gets like that sixth beer in him, and then it's like, who the fuck is this guy? Right now, he's reasonable, Jason. He's like nice, he's cool, collected. Wait till like the after panel.
Working on
do
it.
you guys think that
The warning sign is when this hat comes on. It's all
can you guys
fucked.
not hear me? Am I
No,
just
I
Yeah,
can
we
hear you
do.
just
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry, I just wanted to insult Jason. Go for it.
Do you guys think that the brands that are distancing from them, distancing from him, should be doing that? Do you think that? How do you guys feel about that?
I don't give a fuck what a company do. At this point in American history, I'm like, yo, they gonna latch on to whatever shit make them look good. Right now, you got a bunch of people
Right.
unironically saying this dude is a Satanist murderer who let this happen because he advocates for riots and shit. And I'm like, if companies are like, bro, most of our supporter base is gonna buy into that, maybe we should distance themselves. I can see that as a reasonable decision. Like, like for me, like what should they do? It's based on like each and individual company. Some companies
Right.
have majorly like conservative audiences who tend to hate Travis Scott. Like that's just the fact. If they see their audiences like fighting back against them and like doing like the fucking like we're gonna burn the fucking Dyson mobile or whatever, like then the company should do what protects their interests. We live in a capitalist society. Like they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
That's kind of how I feel about it too. I mean, they're each going to have to do what optically looks the best for them. He may pick up a really dope ass contract with somebody else who wants to play on this and turn it into, you know, help build out a brand, you know, like because of this, you know, that does happen. You know, unfortunately, some people prey on, you know, the negativity side of things to build a brand. But yeah, ultimately they're going to have to decide what their shareholders want and what their customers are going to be willing to accept. And I think you're right. I think it's going to vary depending on who it is.
I only say this because I hold this opinion. Like, I don't think Travis Scott is a good person. Like, if you're like, no, I don't want them. Like, and it's not because of this incident. It's because he's not a good person that I'd say, like, yeah, I don't want like companies latching onto that. Like, I don't want that to be like, you know, seen as like a role model, which we could say like leeches into his fans and shit like that. Like, I don't want that personally, but I understand that like art subjective and shit, blah blah blah. People get famous, so like, if I'm not gonna curtail that in any way, then like, yeah, if they're gonna they're gonna make these decisions, and I gotta let them.
I think it's like venues are not gonna want to book him. He's gonna have to deal with it, just like you guys are saying. But other than that, you know,
Right.
he makes popular music. There's a lot of people that want to listen to his music. The guy has like a documentary that like Netflix has on him and stuff, and he's still alive. You know, the dude is like in there. You know, he has those connections already. There's artists that will support him. There's people that will listen to his music. So as long as he makes good music to people, then he's gonna have an audience, and he's going to have people that are like going to support him, and there's gonna be someone who wants part of that money. But venues, on the other hand, that doesn't necessarily can get like the same amount of money he's getting from concerts, because like, you know, people, unless you're like a really big concert that has like really really good security, like they're probably not going to want you anymore if that's what you bring, you know.
Or he's going to have to pay like huge insurance to do shows, or you know, there's going to be all sorts of weird steps in the contracts.
I
Probably
can't
will get
even,
goosebumps every time.
like, I can't even bite into that argument because like people are like saying to show like this happens all the time. Like people mosh at the shows all the time. Yeah, but you know the difference? People died at this one, and from
Right.
I can see it's from like the unsafety like levels of like the venue itself.
Mhm.
So like venues could impose that, but it's like he's done this before and it's not been an issue. He's been, you know, prepared for what he does. So it's like why would they take that issue? I feel like the venues would be like, yo, maybe we should make sure we're prepared. I mean, but I can see
Right.
why they would try and blame.
There were
Like,
issues.
this.
There was like a few issues in the past. It's just there wasn't deaths.
Yeah, I
Right,
mean,
and
in
that's-
2017, he was arrested and accused of inviting fans to bypass security and rush the stage at a show at the Walmart Arkansas Music Pavilion too in Rogers.
It was a crazy one. I
So-
can't remember what year it was, but it was a crazy one where it's just like
he
someone
was
jumped off.
he was. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Someone
sorry,
jumped off like the 3rd floor or some shit for like during his concert.
Jesus.
And he didn't like
Jesus
ask
That's
for anything.
insane.
The person like broke their
So
leg.
like, yeah, when we
And they
say
were
we
like,
can
"Yeah,
blame him for
Travis
his
Scott."
audience and like letting this
Crazy.
shit happen, right? Like I do understand. Like, yeah, we could definitely blame him for letting this type of community grow. Like, who the fuck is like, oh, this dude just jumped off the 3rd story?
Man.
Nice. Yeah.
Dope.
No.
Sweet.
I would
Yeah.
literally in the middle of the concert be like, Jesus fuck. Like, no, I could not hold that in like a reaction like that. Like, you just jumped off the 3rd story.
And
Yeah,
that's
same.
Why, Smash's question where he's like, oh well, like, do we like what about the brands? I feel like it's kind of hypocritical of them to kind of pull out the way they are because they knew what kind of person Travis Scott was. They know he's a fucking crazy psycho person who has these crazy psycho fans because like I said before, he's pled guilty twice to, you know, inciting violence at his shows. And so it's like for them to just be like, well, that's okay because nobody died, but this time somebody died, so therefore it's not okay.
No,
To me,
it's not
that just
okay
feels
that he.
hypocritical.
It's not okay that he like did this in other shows and people didn't die. But like for this one
Right.
specifically, like this is why I'm saying like we can blame him for the culture and like that's why he should feel bad that like he brings this type of audience. He should feel bad that he like
Wait,
his.
so he
Hold
was
on, I
charged,
really like
right?
Victoria's point, and I don't think she was finished making it.
Right, and so it's one of those things where he has this air of him of what kind of people he brings around, what kind of people he wants at his shows. Because like I said, I'll try to find it, and like there was the tweet, the mysterious tweet of like seeing if he actually did, because there was saying that like he deleted a lot of tweets after this shit happened, but to me it's one of those things where you have to realize the type of person you're bringing to your show, the type of and what that person brings. Because just like you said, there was the 60-something-year-old guy who died at a Slipknot concert because he was in a mosh pit. But when you go to a Slipknot concert, you kind of expect a mosh pit to happen. When you go to metal shows, you expect when you know the band that you're going to, you kind of have an expectation of what's going to happen at that show. I went to a Korn concert. I expected mosh pits. I expected walls of death. I expected all of that comes with going to like hard rock or metal concert. You go to a Travis Scott show knowing it's going to be fucking wild and crazy. So it's just like you don't obviously go there expecting to die, but you don't go there expecting that it's going to be like a very
there
chill
expecting to live.
kumbaya show.
Like I just think like yeah, well, you make the point, like the full point, even like again, like the blame just goes back to like the actual facility itself. Like you're right, when you go to a Travis Scott concert, the little front stage area shit, like do you expect people to jump over there and shit? Yeah, 100%. Do you expect it to be like this closed off death zone where like if you get enough people in, it feels like you know you're just in a room that you can't get out of? No, I don't think people would expect that. Even like the fans who went to previous Travis Scott concerts and did this, I don't think they were like, bro, like I didn't like. I think they were like, bro, like we usually could just like get back out or like hop.
Well,
the
I
bed or
think
something.
that contributes to it. I think that's one of the biggest factors contributing to it because, like they said, those gates at the front, they didn't break. They didn't break down. You couldn't get through them because what happened at previous concerts? They broke through them and they fucked up everybody past those gates. The security, the photographers, everybody else that's beyond that gate that's supposed to have that gap of separation for safety, it got broken through and the people that are beyond that gate got fucked up. So what did they do for this concert? They made sure those gates couldn't get broken. And what did that turn into? More people getting hurt.
Yeah, okay, but I think they're bringing up that he's pled guilty to like inciting a riot or whatever before is kind of weird. You know, he took responsibility. He pled guilty. he paid the fine, and he moved on. Like, I think that pulling something up from like what 5-6 years ago or some crazy shit like that to say that this is like a pattern of behavior when he's been actively touring since then is kind of fucked. I think he again he is where's what's you say you do the crime, you do the time. He did it. Leave him the fuck alone, right? And saying that there's like this culture where he's going to be inciting riots and shit at his concerts when the last time that happened was apparently like 2017 is I think it's a stretch. Um, I don't know. It seems like if his concerts are known for being really like rowdy and wild and shit, well, hey, that's the venue's responsibility. They're having the suit there. They've agreed to have him there. They should know that they're going to need to have extra security there. So I don't think that like talking as if like, oh well, you know what kind of guy is coming to town? It's Travis Scott. You know what kind of people those people are. I think we're getting really close to like, no, we don't like his kind around these parts kind of talk, and it's kind of weird. So
No,
I think
listen,
Like, it's
like,
almost like you charge a certain individual, and like you're charging him for life, even when he serves a sentence. You know, I'm just
no, listen. When I make the moral, like, I'm not gonna hitch on to like, he did the crimes in the past. But, like, when I make the moral argument of like, like they're a rowdy bunch, that I would make that same thing about Slipknot, right? Like, I like their music. I don't necessarily want to get punched in the face because like I accidentally wandered into the mosh pit or some shit like that. No, thank you. Like, I don't like that type of conflict when I'm like, I'm listening to music, and then it's like, oh, I just got punched in the back of the fucking head. I might have a concussion now.
Well, and
it's
so
not, like, the expense
like,
I signed up for.
there's a thing with mosh pit culture too, and there's like a code. You see somebody fall down, you pick them up. You don't let people prey on the vulnerable. If somebody gets thrown into the pit that doesn't want to be in there, you help them get out. The big guys help pick up the little guys. It's not just like people going in there and punching each other in the face. That's not what happens.
That's not
like
what that is.
I've been in several, and I've never been in a mosh pit where people are running around to like punch people in the face. I haven't been
in a mosh pit like that. My brother's been in one, and like I will say, like, it wasn't like one of these big organized concerts. Like, there was blame everywhere. Everyone, like the facilities, everyone had blame in that. Like, he fucking broke his leg. But, like,
oh shit.
Yeah, that's just like when I say like I don't like that type of culture like in the music. That's what I mean. Like, it's not just Slipknot. This is something I would criticize them for, and other bands with mosh pits. And this is similar with Travis Scott. Other rappers that are like, advocating this shit. Like, I saw someone in chat being like, yeah, that guy that jumped off, he told him to. Like, if rappers are doing that, I don't like that. Like, you're putting people in danger, kind of. And that's my viewpoint. Now, like, the bands that do these shits, like mosh pits, good. Like, good on you. You're taking your proper precautions. Can't really complain about you. I don't like it. I won't participate.
Iro, go jump off a bridge.
You know what?
No.
No.
Oh,
well, hold on.
But-
Wait, don't stop him. Wait, so no, just kind of
like that's the thing. It's like
But I think it's remedied. I think it can be remedied. I really don't think like, people have to walk away with like doom and gloom. Oh, forever. Travis Scott concerts are going to be doomed forever. I just don't think that's it. I think it's just there needs to be adjustments made,
Yeah.
and it'll be fine. And if they want to have the rowdy ass concerts, he can have the rowdy ass concerts and do the thing, and just make sure that there's
What do you guys think is the difference between the because we brought it multiple times, the Scott situation and the Baldwin situation?
And
you already know Prime.
The Alec
what
Baldwin.
the difference, the chief differences.
We don't even gotta
like I
say
said,
it.
I was against the racial narrative before, but after listening to these white people try to slander Mr. Travis,
Land of traders.
I don't know. I think
If I could just for like, because I feel like on both sides of the coin you can kind of say like, oh, well, Alec Baldwin is at fault because he should have checked the gun, he should have checked to make sure that there wasn't like, any real bullets in it or whatever, like just being able to do that for yourself as an individual. Like the same thing with Travis Scott. Like, he should have taken the precautions to make sure that the venue was safe, that he had the adequate security, that he had the adequate, whatever, to make sure that this wouldn't happen. But then on the other hand, just like with the Alec Baldwin situation, he's an actor. it's not his job to check, you know, the firearm to make sure it doesn't have real bullets in it. It's his prop master's job to make sure that that gun has been switched out, that the bullets have been switched out, whatever. Just like how it's the venue's job to make sure that the security is provided, that the, you know, medic is good, that whatever is needed is needed. So it's just like that's literally the same. It's the comparison of which side of the coin do you want to be on.
I would add that, like Jason said like a few times, it would be like it's the event that books the venue that can have like security, so it'd probably be like their responsibility. But still, yes, it would be their responsibility.
Right.
Yeah, and so with the oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Ahead.
Oh, I was
No,
gonna say
go
with the Baldwin situation, I think he's still responsible because he's the executive producer on the film. You know, you're the executive producer, you're the showrunner, you know, so it's not just a matter of he was the one with the gun that he got from the prop master. There was all sorts of issues with that set. They were going on strike because of the fact that there were safety concerns and safety issues. They were plinking with that very same gun that they handed over to Alec Baldwin, and he's supposed to be the showrunner on that shit. So yeah, just like I would say that, you know, Travis Scott may hold some liability as part organizer in the event, so would Alec Baldwin hold liability for what happened on that movie set. Damn straight. Damn straight.
Right, but a few years
like
ago,
Alec Baldwin,
he did some,
Alec
like,
Baldwin,
really bad shit.
did he pause to check the gun? And when did he do any of it? Because like I see Travis Scott at multiple times being like, if something is going on, let me like look into it at least a little bit. At least a little bit, you know, where it's like Alec Baldwin, you know, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I definitely think Alec Baldwin is culpable at least in some part for what happened. I don't know if it's necessarily the checking of the gun, but maybe it's hiring a prop master that they knew had issues before on set with Nicolas Cage, you know, in a previous movie that he was doing.
How you gonna fuck up around Nicolas Cage? You can't just do that. I wouldn't hire you at that point. Like, oh, you fucked up around that dude? He crazy. No, thank you.
Right. He went off on the prop master too. I guess he reamed her ass or some shit because she fired a gun right next to his head.
That's sexist. We can't use those terms.
A little sexist, okay?
Listen, that's exactly why I don't fuck around with Nicolas Cage. Like, he got all them actor personas, but the moment you fuck up on some shit that he's real serious about, I don't know who that is, but he go off. Like, put that shit to a beat, and it's a fire track right there. I seen him yelling at people for not following COVID restrictions, and I'm like, yo, dang, he going in. Just watching this, I'm feeling pity because he just insulting your life.
Yeah, I mean, but the beauty of being Alec Baldwin is you can blame, not even blame, just to act very sad, extremely sad, more sad than Travis Scott acted, and then after that kind of lay back and then let society pick up the mantle for you, whereas Travis Scott has to pay off all the tickets, do everything. He can't go to an after party. Everyone's looking at every action he does. They look.
Travis Scott just needs to be a better actor, like Alec Baldwin, and then that shit won't happen. He needs to really milk those tears,
He should, when after all of this shit happened, he should have just went home and logged off of Twitter, bro.
I bet Alec Baldwin's been to a few. I bet Alec Baldwin's been to a few parties after.
I'm sure.
He's had a decent time. He's probably like, damn, that shit was
probably
crazy.
Smiled at some point.
Yeah.
So can I say something kind of controversial?
Did he commit murder?
As long as
What
it's
was
not
it?
TOS.
Travis Scott's a murderer? Or...
Yeah, is that
Let's go.
I was gonna say, would it be considered not a murder, not a murderer per se, but manslaughter? Because so for example, if you have somebody robs a liquor store or whatever, and the old lady in the back has a heart attack because she got scared because, oh my god, the liquor store is getting robbed, right? And she dies. So you would be considered, guilty for manslaughter.
No, what did I have to do with that?
Why'd you rob a liquor store? What do you mean?
I would be charged with the liquor store, sure, but
But she died. But she died because had you not robbed that liquor store, it would have been assumed that she wouldn't have had that heart attack and died.
Yeah, but that's insane because like that in itself is a felony. So it's the felony
Yeah.
that
I
led
think
to
it's
that.
the
And true,
responsibility
felonies-
of the person.
They might add it on as a charge and like argue that for the prosecution, but be like, you know what? Nah, we'll make the plea deal of like just the felony as like a tactic. But like, I can't see them being like, because this woman got scared and like keeled over. You're also being charged with this crime, which is, let's be fair, much worse than like I robbed a liquor store.
I think it's the store owner's fault for not having enough security or first
Yo,
aid.
where were the
Right.
paramedics?
Yeah,
Or enough
exactly.
paramedics. So that's
I'm just
that's
saying-
the only reason why I would say like would Travis Scott be able to be held for manslaughter because had his fans not been that rowdy or had he not had an air about him that caused fans to behave this way?
No,
That's
like
first and foremost, what felony did he commit?
Fucking
Let me
Baldwin
know.
could be like, you know, maybe you can look at it as manslaughter. Travis
Like,
Scott, like,
What
he didn't
level?
physically kill anyone.
What first and foremost?
Did
What
I not say
felony
it was
did he commit?
controversial?
Is the felony he committed being born with a darker skin color and
No, I'm
performing
saying
music?
manslaughter.
The original felony,
because
perhaps.
Yeah, the original
technically-
felony.
the original felony, the
Like,
original sin being
what?
black.
You're
The original
going to
felony.
a store and shooting and like an armed robbery and then someone dying in the store. To Travis Scott performing music and then people in the crowd. Like at that point, it's like
but that's the thing is that he didn't shoot and kill the old lady. She had a heart attack because she was so scared of like
because
okay,
there was
let's
a
just say-
felony that was being
because
committed.
there was something
Because there was
happening.
a felony.
Right, because there was
It's like
something
if I'm
happening.
drunk driving and I crash into something, am I responsible for the dude like across the street who dies of a fucking heart
Yeah, it's
palpitation
a
or
felony,
whatever?
like,
Okay,
felony
well
murder.
let's phrase this another way. What if you like run up behind somebody and scare them and just like
And say
like
boo,
ah,
right.
and they have a heart attack and die.
Yeah, is that like maybe that's manslaughter
Make the
because you
case. I'll
directly
see you in
did that.
court.
No,
I'll
no,
see you in
you,
court.
no, like that can be argued because you directly did that action, right? It's not like you doing something else and they're just like, that's a difference. I'm actively like walking up on Doobie and being like, ah, Snake, you know, your natural predator, and he's like, ah.
Natural
And then,
predator.
and then he would die. But like, if I'm just like out in the woods and Doobie's on his little tree, like a tree frog and shit, like, and then like, hold on, and then like, I get like, I have to take down this fucking gazelle with my bare hands or whatever the fuck is in the rainforest, like, and then he dies. That's not on me. I didn't do that to him.
I
Didn't
feel like we're in a
cause
good
that,
place
though?
where you are. Like if you want to, the more like blame that you look for, the more then it's gonna be like, well, I guess let's just blame the people that went there. And
No,
did the
it's the
trampling.
it's the
Let's
old
just
lady.
go to
Nah,
that
it's the
extent,
old
too.
lady's
Like,
fault
we're a
for
good
being
place here.
in the
You want
A
store.
big
Travis
old
Scott
and
to share
having
some
bad
blame.
heart.
No,
Right
it's
now,
her
Travis
fault for
Scott
being
shares
in the
some
liquor
blame.
store. Why was she in the liquor store at that specific time? If we're looking for blame, that's what I'm wondering.
No, I'm being dead honest. Like, if you want to go further, it's like, right now, you have some blame that you're placing on Travis Scott. If you want to
Right.
go further and go to the extent of, like, he's responsible for, like, death, then, like, at that point, you're asking him to be like, well, if I'm responsible for death, I'm going to find all the people that, like, I refunded their tickets and everything that were in the crowd, and I'm taking some of the blame away from all of them, and now it's like, I want you to find who those people were, and now they take blame because they're the ones who did the trampling. And is that what we want? Do we want, like, 20 people, like, everyone involved in any of the trampling to also take blame? Because, like, Travis Scott, he's gonna be, like, found for murder, so all the other people that were involved in this murder are also found? Or are
Like,
we
if we
happy
find
with,
your
like,
foot
Travis
on
Scott taking the
them,
brunt of it
like-
with his,
Yeah, it
with
is
Live
kind of
Nation?
weird that we're talking about the guy on stage being responsible and not the actual people who crushed these fucking people in the crowd.
Yeah, like, if I'm gonna blame anyone and like hold them legally responsible, I might go for the person whose like footprint matches like, you know, those on the deceased. Like I might be like, yeah,
That's the problem with these push things, though. Is like people. Are we memeing here? I'm.
No.
Are you-
No.
no,
I-
I mean
I-
like,
like,
I
no,
mean
so,
like
like,
when
that's
it
how-
comes to this type of like tragedy, like there's only really two. Like you're either running away from something in a large crowd, or like a mosh pit and shit like that, or you're going towards something in a large crowd. And like that was one of the links.
How you guys doing tonight? What you
They were
drinking? What
going
you smoking?
towards the motherfucker.
I hope you guys are having a good
Right,
night.
and
Thanks
that's
for
the
hanging
big
out with
part
me
of
while I
crowd crush is
jump
that,
on this
like,
impromptu Prime
it's
panel.
the
I didn't know
large
anything
crowd
about it. He asked me to come on at the
people
last
in the
minute
front,
after it
on the
already
sides,
started.
straight
So
in the back are totally
Thanks for
okay,
jumping on.
but it's the people, it's that small section in the middle where, like, it's even been said that you could lift up your legs and be held in place and not even fall because it's so tightly packed. You can't breathe, you can't move, there's nowhere to go, there's nothing you can do, you are just trapped there.
Yeah, that's like based on the accounts that I've heard. Like it even like sucks you in, and
Right.
like people that were like getting like, there was a gal that said that people didn't even know they were stepping on people. Like
No.
there were like supposedly there were like bodies underneath bodies from getting pulled down.
This
Right.
some war story shit. Jesus Christ! Like
No, it's
some shit-
awful.
It
It's
sounds
like
some shit
a
I'll
good
read
episode
it
of
like
Game
there's
of
some shit
Thrones.
I've honestly like read in like fucking like World War I diaries. Like, ah, we were walking over the bodies and we didn't even know it, and it's like Jesus Christ, and like that type of condition, I would put on the facility. Like,
Yeah, it sounds like that scene from Game of Thrones.
yeah, like.
Oh hell yeah!
That's
Right
just
on, you guys.
terrifying. Like, and then like the honest question would be like, are we gonna charge them with that?
I don't know how you could, because like based on like even I was trying to understand how this happens like scientifically, and I couldn't really figure it out, but it just seems like people get pulled down and there's really like nothing anyone can do. They're trying to escape, and that trying to get out is what causes a lot of this.
Yeah, usually what happens
Right.
is somebody gets unstable and they fall over, and when they fall over, because there are so many people behind them and in front of them, other people start collapsing around them, and as they're falling, there's still those people that are pushing from the back, so that's how they end up like kind of trampling over them, you know, and a lot of times not knowing, because the people that are pushing from behind are pushing you to where you don't have a choice but to go forward. So yeah, you end up literally walking over
I'm
people.
actually posting the link in chat right now because like this is what I read on it. Like how here's how crowd crushing kills people, and it has to do with that. Like if they're going in certain directions, like you just said, like, and for them they were just going forward.
Mhm.
Like it can
Yeah, so,
happen when
you know,
you're
like,
like
I'm actually
line
okay.
of
I'm actually
individuals.
very curious about something now.
Yeah.
So you guys are talking about like, the liability of the person, right? That's causing the situation where people are like injured or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So what if there's like a protest and they block off an intersection or a freeway, and someone's sitting in that crowd and they're sick, and you know they need to get to a hospital, or they lose their fucking job because they're late. Like, well, do you think the protesters should be held liable for things like?
well,
things like that?
I'll take you in good faith with this, but I want to change it a little bit, like to the equivocation of like they lose their life. Because like
Sure.
if it's like they're losing
I-
their fucking job, I don't give a fuck. Like
And this is why
that's
this is
kinda
why
fair.
protests need permits and stuff like that, so that these things can be
exactly.
handled prior.
And that's who I would blame, right? Like when we're talking protest, if it's like spur of the moment protest and like everyone's just just kind of running around and riding or whatever you want to call, like if you can catch the like if you can catch people who like actually hurt this person, but like if you just die,
You charge them
I-
for like manslaughter.
I don't know how you would do that. You would like just circle in a bunch of people from a overhead picture and then say you're all being arrested if we
No,
find you.
like let's say someone stops. I was affected by this one time actually, when I was getting my insurance license, or one of my insurance licenses, and they were blocking the fucking exit of the freeway in like LA, right, where I need to get off at like 7 in the fucking morning. Like if those people were rounded up, right, and they were, because you know the police will use like not barricades, but they use that orange shit, like circle people and they round them up and they pull them out one by one and arrest them, right? So if they'd done that, and let's say, I think there's, if there's a case for liability in the case of someone get like dying, there's a case for liability like financial liability, right? Because I lost money and time that day. I had to reschedule. I had to pay the fucking fee again. I'd lost my entire day, right? Because I was stuck in traffic for hours. And I imagine there are many other people in that traffic with me who had similar situations, right? Who were stuck there, couldn't get to work, couldn't get to school, whatever, right? So if we could find those people, would it be reasonable for me or other people who are affected, whether it's like financially or medically, would it be reasonable for us to be able to sue these people, or put them in jail?
I think in certain circumstances, like medical issues and shit like that, you could make that argument. When it comes to financially, I would need like a really good example because, like, if you get to your job and then like you're like, "Hey, just turn on the news. You see the third car down the left, like 7 cars back? That's
That's
me."
me.
Yeah, like I like if your job then just says, "Yo, fuck you," your job
No,
just
but it's
hates
not
your
always
ass.
like that, right? So like, I can give you examples where, especially when I just started out, if I had an appointment early that morning and I had to drive out to it, if the freeways were fucked and I didn't plan for it, I was fucked, right? Now I've lost out on the sale. I've been losing money, right, because the freeways were fucked and I didn't plan for it. So if someone's causing the freeways to be fucked intentionally, why wouldn't I be able to sue them?
Well, you can
Sue
sue
if you
anybody
sue.
for anything. As to whether or not you're going to
Right.
win is a different story. But yeah,
Yeah,
have
like,
at it,
you
Haas.
I'm
can
wondering
try
whether
to.
or not you guys think that those people would be liable.
Oh no, like nah, I could make an argument similar to like car pileups and shit, right? That like if we just have like a bunch of motherfuckers who like just pile up and like they're all fucking drunk driving after a football game, and then like they pile up on a freeway, those people are charged with the laws they broke. So like in the protest case,
Hey, Corpy, thanks for hanging out with us.
obstructing shit if it's like without a permit.
Wow.
Like if you don't have a permit, like it's obstructing, you're not doing it legally, you'll be charged with that. But when it comes to like the liability of all the other shit, like I feel like that would
I
just
don't
be
think
like
that makes any sense. I think if we're talking about a person who caused this event to happen, being liable, right? And Travis Scott apparently caused people to die, or the venue caused people to die because these people rushed the stage and crushed each other, and that's somehow the venue's fault. Well, maybe why wouldn't it also be like fucking Occupy LA's fault that I was late to that fucking thing and I wasn't able to do it that way.
because
That
when
day.
we talk about the
Or
Travis Scott
or
venue, like there are
hold on,
active.
wait 1 second. Or if someone had died, right, because they were having a medical situation, they couldn't get to the hospital in time. Why wouldn't it be their Why wouldn't it be their responsibility?
Okay, so like this is why like yeah, if someone died, you could 100% make that argument, and especially if it's like an organized protest. The reason I say that is because when we talk about like the structure and whatnot at the Travis Scott fucking facility, we got into the topic of like all of the organizers and the security and everything that was wrong from like the bottom up when it came to organizing that. When it comes to a protest, we have two types: the random, spontaneous type where people are just running around, and then like if you can catch them in the act of doing something like that, that's again like then yes, 100%. If you have like footage of motherfuckers like pushing up against an ambulance and stopping it while it has sirens blaring, those
No,
motherfuckers
not
should be
that.
charged for
I'm talking about they're blocking the road, right?
that.
Now the
Yeah,
ambulance is stuck in traffic.
yeah, no,
Uh,
like if you can identify people like that and like someone dies, yeah, sure. Like
There's
Is it a permitted protest? And did they
that's what
did
I
they
was gonna bring
plan
up.
on
No,
having
nothing
that
matters.
space
No, but like
occupied?
no, that's what I was gonna bring up. Like if it's a permitted protest, it 100% matters because then there is some type of organizational effort to that. Like you choose, like the organizational effort goes into choosing where they're gonna protest, alerting the city to that protest, how large it's gonna be, how many members are gonna turn out, and if they're blocking a fucking public transit road because they wanted to deviate from a path that like the city charted this for you, like that can be a problem and the organizers would be responsible for that. I don't think the individuals would. But if we're talking about like an unorganized protest where there's no permit and whatnot, yeah, like if you want to arrest the individuals and shit, like I would
And
wonder
then
how you're
charge
gonna
them for
do that.
like manslaughter or something.
No, like yeah, no,
Something
I
like
would
that.
wonder how you're gonna do that without literally just like taking an aerial shot and circling who you want to try and arrest.
No,
But like I
police
wouldn't have
already
a
do
problem
this.
with it.
They like corral people, right? This already happens.
Oh yeah, no, like yeah, then good. Like if you can catch them in the act of like doing that when it's like, you don't have a permit to be here, like
And
shit like that.
do you think if someone died, those people, like all those people, would be responsible for that death, right? So they could be charged with like manslaughter or some shit.
If they were preventing an ambulance from getting through and shit like that, then yeah, like it would be something. I'm not sure if it's manslaughter because like I'm not specifically a lawyer, but it would be something that's like, yeah, you led to the death of someone. If that could go through, and like I think that'd be like really interesting legislation to see go through. Because like yeah,
Okay, so
ambulances
now
do
I'm
have
starting to
that
think
right of
it's
law.
not even
where-
the concert venue's fault. It's just the crowd's fault.
no,
No.
because it's the organizers
organizer.
and concert venue has a responsibility to keep people safe.
Right.
Right,
Yeah,
but,
like this is
but
what matters when we're
they had
talking
everything
about a
it seems like
protest.
they had things in place to keep people safe, but the people that they're keeping safe were
It-
stupid and
It
just
wasn't
make themselves
adequate.
unsafe.
It
But
wasn't
here's the
adequate.
it wasn't adequate enough safety equipment because like we said, the security wasn't able to really get in and do their job. The medics that were there weren't able to get in and do their job. There was a fucking video of the medical cart going through and somebody like, you know, jumped on the top and like was like stopping them from doing their job. Where was security? Why didn't security pull them down and
Why did
escort
that
them
person
out?
jump on top
We
of that thing?
actually
Because they're
do
idiots.
wait, we actually
Exactly.
do this with
Hey,
time out,
but you
wait,
have to remember, people do get
Time out,
arrested
time
at
out.
concerts and charged with crimes.
Wait,
That doesn't
we do
alleviate
this.
responsibility from the concert organizer or the venue. Just
Wait,
because
we do-
those
we
people
do
get
this-
arrested for doing X crime and they may still face civil liability against the person that they did the crime for, the organizers are still responsible as well because
Yeah,
they
I
didn't
understand how
protect
the
the.
legal liability works. I'm saying like morally, right? I understand.
Oh,
the
morally?
legal-
If you
yeah,
want to
I understand
morally
the
blame
legal
someone,
liability
yeah.
here, right? So I understand it happened on the this venue's premises, right? People got hurt. It's they're liable, right? That's how that works. But yeah, but I'm saying like morally, if these people, the person who jumped on top of the ambulance or whatever the fuck they're doing, I think I saw another video of people dancing on top of a cop car while they're trying to get somebody out. It seems like, you know, if I have a bridge, right, and I put up guardrails to keep people safe, and people decide to get up on top of the guardrails and walk on them like dumbasses, and they fall in the water and die. Right? It seems like
You
that's
know,
an
wait,
issue with
no.
them. I put things in place to make them safe.
But you
They
know what you
decided
do
not
with
to be
that?
safe. So this is
But
their
Doobie,
issue.
when we do that, right? Because we do this, and you're 100% right. Like when, like in zoos and shit, when people get into animal enclosures and they're like, yeah, we say they're really dumb, but also the people who are in charge of organizing this stuff put up extra protections for like zoos and shit. If some motherfucker accidentally manages to hop into like the alligator pen, then they put up like a layer of fucking glass and a moat. Like if like
I
it's a
agree with
fucking
BK
bridge.
Messiah in chat. It seems like natural selection. These people are already Travis Scott fans, so like, yeah, I'm just saying.
Well, no, but like now we're like moving back, right? Because like we already acknowledged the fact that like this venue itself was just unsafe, historically unsafe, and they never fixed it. Like shit like that. Like we've addressed like certain shit like that with the security and shit. Like
And
you
I-
agree with-
Country
I
is
do think
historically
that-
unsafe for individuals like Travis Scott.
Thank you.
I do think that like the people that started pushing have some responsibility.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and so I don't know if there's any way to figure out who that was. I don't know how much
No.
responsibility I want them to have. I would say total moral responsibility, but I
Yeah.
do think that like what they did was dangerous and did cause people to die. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if we're
it's like
talking
the
about
back
morally,
line.
I can agree with morally, but like
But-
legally, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
Where's
we
that
all
back
know
line,
it's
though?
unsafe to do that, right? Like I don't know. I feel
Well,
like
what's the
they were
back
just
line,
as
Riggle?
negligent.
So it's like you guys are saying that the thing is caused.
Oh,
by
yeah,
people
Doobie's a
back pushing
lightning
people
rod
in
for
front.
sure.
This is like the crowd surging and stuff. Yeah, so it's like if you're on the back line, you're the people that have the most, like you know what you're doing. You're like, you know the size of the venue because you're so far back, and then you're pushing, which is causing this effect. So it's like it's weird to not look at those individuals if you're gonna look at Travis
We can't.
Scott.
We can't look at those
Yeah.
individuals because they're all the way in the back of the crowd of like
Yes,
5,000.
but they know how many people are in the venue more than
I don't
everybody
even
else.
think if they
And they're
knew.
pushing.
No, but
I
like
don't
even
but hold on,
even-
I don't even care about that. Like you know that the pushing at these venues can cause this type of reaction and cause deaths. It's done it in the past, and I think that yeah, if people want to put responsibility on Travis, they should definitely put responsibility on the people that started pushing.
You know, that's fair.
Yeah, and I think oftentimes, you know, where law enforcement and security can get those people, some of them do get charged, and some of them do end up getting prosecuted for assaults or different things that happen. It's just one of those things where the person that it's happening to, they have multiple people they can go after for it, right? So they're going to go after, and a good attorney would have them go after every fucking buddy they can go after, you know, from the musical act to the people pushing to the venue to the organizers, everybody. That's just the way most of those guys work because they want to get paid too, and they're usually working on a contingency and they get paid off the settlement, so it makes sense.
Paul J.G. Wentworth.
You know, But yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to be in a situation where, yeah, those people that are pushing from the back should absolutely hold some liability for sure. If they're causing this to happen and they can see who started like the stampede, if you want to call it that, or push, then yeah, why wouldn't they be responsible? I absolutely agree 100%.
Okay, so we've arrived at, I think they're correct.
Hey, StudyMate, thank you very much for rating me. If you guys haven't checked out StudyMate's channel,
Travis Scott.
awesome.
No, Travis Scott is morally not responsible. Legally, probably not responsible. And yeah, it sounds like the venue also had some precautions in place. People chose to ignore those precautions and to crush people in front of them because they're dumbasses. This just seems like natural selection. Dumb shit happens to dumb people.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
not what we are saying. That's what you're saying.
No, that's what Doobie is
That's the
saying.
correct
Yeah,
decision.
no,
Yeah, that's definitely
That's
a
not the
Doobie original.
correct take. That's the on crack take. Like, don't listen to any of that.
That's the correct position here.
That is not the correct position.
And it seems like
that is
you know,
several.
there's
That is
video.
several points of the correct position.
There's
but
video.
not the
Right?
correct position.
There's video of people like so the guy who's or like multiple people dancing on top of a cop car where you can see their faces. Those people should be tracked down, prosecuted, and put in jail. Because they're dumbasses and they did a dumb thing. But
Yeah, you're not
leave
going to get
Travis
an
Scott
argument
alone.
from me on that.
Yeah, leave Travis Scott alone. Did nothing wrong.
That's crazy. It's like, you know, in all these other circumstances, we got to believe the cops. We got to believe everything the cops do. Now, black man hires cops, and suddenly, you know,
We
that's a
ignore
fault.
that
I
fact
know.
completely. We ignore the fact that, like, oh, they
that's
typically
respect
go
TV.
all out. Like, they typically go out, but for this one, they were like, for some reason, they were just like backing off. That's not the questions we're asking. Like, where was the presence of like these off-duty officers?
No, these
Like-
officers were there. They were present.
Yeah, they
I
dropped
heard,
like
there
on
were,
the
I
end.
heard there
Mentally.
weren't. I heard there weren't enough of them though. Either
Yeah.
for the size of the crowd.
Kind of sounds like January 6th to me.
Yeah, there were enough of them to drop that woman on her head when they were carrying her out.
Yeah, I know, right?
They picked her up real quick and they scuttled the fuck out of there right away.
They scuttlebutted.
So,
I don't know.
But-
go ahead.
so I guess we've reached the end of that conversation.
Balance.
Thank you all so much for coming through. To my audience members, none of you can see me now, but it's fine. If you've been enjoying this conversation so far, then be so kind as hit that follow button if you haven't done so yet. Make sure notifications are on so you know I'm going live. We do 6 nights a week. Exclamation point social and chat. For our social media, jump on our Twitter, which is where we have channel updates. Discord is where we do everything, and we'll have open panel later on there as well. And YouTube is where we will find the VODs. The VODs aren't here; they're there. So go check that out. And also, remember we are streaming on YouTube. You guys missed out on a really good stream last night. We had actually a really good time. So check us out on YouTube. We'll be streaming there every so often. But we'll work on that. In any case, yeah. I'm going to remember the content doesn't end. We'll continue on for our Porn panel right after this. But first, I'm going to do an outro to these amazing individuals. So stick right there until we do that. All right, so starting with Wiggle at the top. Wiggle, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your opinion on all this. Wiggle, tell the world about yourself.
Yeah, like, you already know who I am. My name is Wiggle, and that's all you should know about me. Other than that, I told you guys what I was going to say when I started. And, you know, I am saying it again. Yeah, like, Travis Scott holds some responsibility, but I knew that people were going to overshoot and place far more responsibility on him. A lot of it would be because of the color of his skin. I brought up, you know, Alec Baldwin, etc. And, you know, it kind of seems like that's exactly what happened, and I'm glad that at the end of all of this, we came to, like, some agreement that, you know, exactly what I said in the beginning is the take. And I'm glad that you guys are here for this. You understand diplomacy, you understand how, like, agreements are made, treaties, And I'm glad to work with you guys in future on any other issue that has to deal with black individuals.
To help them arrive at the non-racist conclusion. Thank you so much, Wiggle, for always having everyone's back. We're always there to being help the white man. All right. The next is our Dark Lord and Savior, Doobie. Doobie, thanks for taking time out of your day, out of your night, and joining us. Doobie, tell the world about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Doobie, and I'm from the politics server on Discord. Politics.gg will get you there, and you won't find it. It's Prime experience last night. The people there are very nice, very wholesome, and they don't, they don't yell at each other for no reason. And also, they probably wouldn't blame Travis Scott, this innocent black man, for what these white people in his crowd did. So, yeah, I hope to see you guys there.
No comment. Okay. Moving on. The next person we'll go to is Jason Society. Jason, thank you for being so kind as to come through and join us at the last second. I figured it seemed like you had something interesting to add, so I'm glad you were here. Jason Society, tell the world about yourself.
Yep. Hi. Yeah, I'm Jason Society. You can find me on Twitch at Jason_Society or on Twitter at Jason Society. Typically stream about politics, the news of the day, talk a lot about drug reform, and right now I'm getting ready to do to start working on some segments called How Do You Even Activate, that talk about how you can get involved on the local level to make change in your community, and how those grassroots changes can travel up, because things change from the grassroots up, not from the top down. So hopefully we'll get you guys to tune into that when that starts rolling. But that's what I got going on for now, and I appreciate you guys letting me come on. Prime's always been gracious to me and my channel, so I very much appreciate you, Prime. Thank you.
Thank you. Links in chat. Also do be sync as well. Next, we will go to Tyrant. Pyro, thank you for being a great mod and being a part of all this. That was good to. I had heard, you had a strong opinion, and you did, certainly. And I'm glad that you shared it with us, Pyro.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. This was a really fun conversation from all sides. Like Wiggle, I'm also glad that we came to my decision, my conclusion, right? Like, this is an infrastructure problem. This is a problem of the organizers and the venue itself. Like Travis Scott, maybe you can blame him on the audience, and then we came to that, right? Like, I appreciate everyone here. Like
I
Doobie,
appreciate you.
Smash, I appreciate you.
We gotta lift our brothers up. All right,
we gotta lift each other up, and you know what? I think everyone did that here, right? Like,
yes.
I know some panels it could be really hostile, but
Guys,
we all just laugh.
Astroworld.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. But no, Prime, thanks for having me. I love being on these panels. You know, I would be here more if my capitalist overlords weren't putting the boot on my neck or whatever. But yeah, I'll be here on the open panel for a little bit. Pyro Tyrant, subscribe to my channel if you want to or whatever.
Next, Victoria, a brand new individual joining us. We're very excited to have them. Thank you for spending time out of your day here with us. Victoria, tell the world about yourself.
There's honestly not much to say. I'm very new to this community. I'm new to this wonderful world of politics and Twitch and every other, panel. So I hope to come to more of these panels. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed engaging in a very insightful conversation between a lot of like-minded people, where it's not just screaming and slurs like it is on every other, server or channel or Discord area. But I really appreciate you bringing me onto this panel. I appreciate you engaging in a very kind-hearted, like-minded way, and I definitely hope to be around a lot more.
Okay, thank you so much. You must be new if we call Twitch politics wonderful, but we'll change that soon.
Wait 2 weeks. Just give it 2 fucking weeks.
I give it 2 days.
I was gonna say I don't need 2 weeks.
Give me till the end of this 6-pack.
Then she'll have that 1,000-mile stare in her eyes, right? I've seen things.
Just watch last week's drama, and then you get that 1,000-eye stare.
I give her 10 minutes into the open panel.
Oh man.
I've done a few open panels, but this is my first small one.
The first
So-
part is the first part is getting over, like, you'll have an internal dialogue because of the amount of times you'll be cut off before you learn to cut other people off, and then you'll grow this internal dialogue you didn't have. I mean, you'll think about all these thoughts, and you'll have conversations with yourself within the panel.
But like Prime said, I came from Doobie servers, so that's never going to be a problem.
Yeah, a
That's
place
the
where
first
you'll
time I'm
find
hearing
50,000
something like
people who don't stampede and kill.
You talking about some barbarian state shit right there? Like,
I think I'll be fine here.
it's
if I can
the
survive there, I think I'll be okay here.
Last but absolutely not least, in fact, the very best, we have Amanda Smash, who, again, a fantastic mod who helps us out so much. We're so grateful for her behind the scenes. So thank you, Amanda, for coming through, helping us come up with the topic in the first place, and just being an all-around great person to have. So, Amanda, tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Amanda Smash. You can follow me on Twitch and Twitter. I have one question. Doobie, was this boring? Okay, whatever.
I think if we didn't have
Go ahead and
these
lie.
racist- we didn't have these racist fights here trying to pin us on the black man, it would've been boring. So I appreciate
You're
your
welcome,
racist-
Doobie.
But Doobie, like, at this point, like, I acknowledge their capacity to change. It's a harder.
you.
I understand for you guys
we
too.
went from murder to like it's the fucking organizer.
For people
I
like
can-
me, Pyro, and
Solidarity.
Doobie, and Prime, like, it's a little easier to understand the capacity to change. So it's like, you guys aren't racist anymore, and like, we acknowledge that. And
Thank you so
We're
much for making me not racist anymore.
Thank you, I
problem.
appreciate it.
problem.
Listen, y'all can do it once.
Oh God.
Wakanda
They're gonna clip
forever.
that, aren't they? That was...
I just want my invite to the cookout. That's all I'm looking for,
Listen,
okay?
Jason,
Yeah,
Jason, Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever, brother.
You have the N-word pass. Go on the path.
No, you don't get that quite yet. You're like Bucky. You're like the honorary like white tiger. Like that, we'll give you a good name.
Yeah, that's good. I don't want the N-word pass because I would just rather never say that word. Like, I'm perfectly fine with that.
We're just gonna call him
Okay,
like the
that's-
drunk
that's-
warrior.
Damn, I thought you were a Travis Scott fan.
Damn, imagine and listen to that music and just like not rapping along to it. I couldn't.
You can skip words.
Yeah, Ninja fills in nicely.
Imagine listening to that music.
I just imagine it all being like a kung fu movie, you know?
Okay.
Bro.
That's weird. But again, thank you all for kindly sharing time with us. We will move on to open walk on panel right after this. The content does not end. It never
Wait.
fucking ends. Yep.
Don't forget Amazon Lily on Tuesday, guys.
Tuesday night, Amazon Lily once again proving why Amanda Smash is amazing because she has organized this all by her lonesome and is doing a fantastic job of it.
Make
So
sure
yeah.
the barriers are loose.
Okay. All right. So, thank you all. We're gonna continue on. So yeah, we're gonna do open walk on panel. Anyone here is, you can join us. I don't know. I'm blanking now. You can join us if you like. But if not, that's okay. Thank you for spending your time, your energy, your knowledge, and your passion for my community. I know they appreciate just as much as I do. Have a good one. Bye.
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 Have a beautiful time.
Based.
That was fun.
That was fun.
That
I'm
was
actually
incredible.
gonna be real. I expected more of a fight. I read like 6 articles, man. Do you know how much 6 is?
A lot.
It's
Oh,
more
yeah.
than 3.
It's more than one.
It's more than 3.
Less
When
than
you're,
7. Step up
Listen.
your game.
listen, when
Is
you're
it as
doing
much
that,
as 9 though?
listen, when you're doing that shit in like 3 hours of sleep, and you're like, yo, I'm tired as fuck. But I got that.
And how
coffee
many
needed right now.
how many of those articles came in handy today?
All of them, like all of them.
Exactly.
It's funny. I got pulled in on the fly. Like, Prime literally messaged me while your panel was, and he's like, "Hey, you want to come on?" I was like,
Yeah, I told him
"No shit."
that you were part of the thing, and I don't think he realized that I had said that until like right in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like I was totally surprised. I was like, "Oh shit, okay."
Listen,
Yeah.
I begged to be on this panel. Like I was there when someone else got the invite. I was like, "Yo, put in my name. Just put it in." They were like, "No, just message him, bro." And I was just like, "No, I'm not that type of dude. I'm a puss. Just put my name in there, please. I got to talk about this." And I'm glad I did because we all agreed. Even Doobie.
Oh, that's great.
Nice.
What do
I
you
mean,
mean
Doobie
even
was on your
Doobie?
side
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole time.
Listen, Doobie, I get it, right? Like I get it. You're a frog, but we have similarities, okay?
If Doobie was DMT and somebody licked him, is he responsible for?
There's only one way to find out, Amanda.
Oh
I
god.
mean,
Are you willing to get licked, Doobie?
I will be a licky for sure. Okay.
See, then it can't be a crime at that point because you've already. It's consensual.
I feel like Doobie has created a culture of this looking behavior, though, and like
Yeah.
in previous events,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
actually admitted it, and he's been charged. for
Doobie
it.
admitted last night he likes to lick armpits. Doobie
Yeah,
admitted
wait.
last night he licks armpits.
No, that's not true.
all of
Hold on. That's not
I'm
true.
gonna be real.
Do they have to be shaved? Do the armpits have to be shaved?
Hairy
No.
moist ones.
No, okay, that's not okay. Amanda
The
is
little
After a
August
long day
liar.
of work,
Listen,
That's
no,
this
it's
is
not.
my favorite
Like,
thing to
you-
do.
me and Victoria are in the politics Discord. How many times